Hello everyone, my name is Wolfbeum and today I'm going to build a cherry village. So, without further talking, let's go! First of all, I have to make space for my builds, but that is done quickly. Then I lay down the outlays for my builds. I plan to have quite a few houses without further purpose, a stable, a chicken coop, a few market stands and a temple with a pagoda. With the first houses I'm experimenting a bit with the style my builds are supposed to have. Of course I had a rough idea in the beginning but didn't plan it out exactly. The style is definitely Asian and to be more accurate a mix between Japanese, Chinese and something entirely else. More like my imagination. The buildings are fairly symmetrical but also asymmetrical but still balanced. The focus lies for a big part on the roofs, which are curved. All of my buildings are on a stone platform for which I'm using in the beginning cobblestone. Later I want to add more detail, but now I'm more focused on the houses. As for the doors, I am inspired by Chinese moon gates, round openings that lead to a garden. So I use stairs and trapdoors to make my doors as round as possible it is for Minecraft. And this actual door I use bamboo trapdoors and a bamboo door. The yellow is a really nice contrast to the dark oak wood. Because the cherry leaves are very pink, I didn't want to use too much cherry wood, because it would look a bit plain and uniform, just too much of one color. Otherwise, I would have loved to make cherry wood roofs. But I still want to integrate cherry wood since it's a cherry village, so I'm making a very rough gradient for all of my builds going from white to pink. As neutral colors to the pink, I use white and dark brown, and this contrast blue and a bit yellow. Together they come out great. So some of my builds are featuring towers integrated into the house to add more interest to the build and to add different levels to the village. The roofs are kind of stacked to fit in with all the other roofs and look a bit like a pagoda. Also the different layers separate the white and add a lot of detail and depth. As for details, I just add some fences and texture as they are quite small. As I mentioned before, the roofs drag quite a bit of attention to them, and that is just fair because this type of roof takes a lot of time to build. All of the houses have more than one floor, so the first roof goes all around under the second floor. Above comes the next roof, and depending on whether there is another floor or not, I bring the roof together at the top. For that I make it easier for myself and bring the curved roof to kind of an A-frame or just connect all sides. And the corners of each layer are built to curve down using slabs and stairs, and that is adding quite a lot to the build. I mainly use dark prismarine for the roofs, but also add warped fungus for more texture. I could have done a gradient in the roofs too, but in my opinion that would have been too much. For more variation, I changed the color of roofs of two houses to oxidized copper for a different shade of blue, and then I am using prismarine for texture. This lighter colors giving me more of a soft look. Other than that, I detail the roofs with lots of lanterns. I place one on most of the corners. Aside from the regular lantern, I built bigger ones with a frog-like and mangrove trapdoors. The holes on the center of the trapdoors are just perfect for this. For more details, I add quite a lot of windows. That breaks the space and add more symmetry to the builds as I try to make them symmetrical. Basically, I'm using two types of windows. Firstly, simply bamboo trapdoors, and secondly, dark oak fences with birch trapdoors behind. I'm not using glass as I would find it quite unfitting. Between the village and the future temple area, I built a few market stands to connect the two areas. The market stands are just really simple constructions, a small roof on 4 stilts. On the bottom it is surrounded with bamboo wood and desks out of pressure plates and fences. I detail the fronts with hanging signs or lanterns. The signs make great little flags. A few of the stands are diagonally. Building diagonally is still a challenge for me, but it adds quite a lot of direction. And what could those market stands sell? Different pots and flowers, some random stuff and bits, wool and banners. And with that, I fill the gap between those stands and the future temple with a really simple bridge using dark oak and bamboo fences. Later I will add lanterns at both sides of it for more details. Next to where I want the temple to be, I start to build up a 5-storied pagoda. For the temple area, I wanted it to be different, so the 4 stories out of dark oak. Then I add the second layer and decide to make it easier for myself and copy this section 3 more times as I want it to be the exact same on every floor anyways. To add even more color to the first floor, and I really wanted to add the new hanging signs as much as possible, I add trapdoors all around and then add different types of hanging signs. They really look like small flags and add a lot of depth. Under the top roof I built some lanterns again using a forklight and mangrove trapdoors. Until then I didn't really think about what details I want to add, so I replaced some of the quartz with dripped cherry logs so that they form rectangular shapes. In front of that I place a line of fences. The yellow gives a nice contrast to the blue and pink. To separate the two sides I place a pillar of nether brick fences, and that is quite the useful building trick. Wooden fences and nether brick fences don't connect. And to finish off my pagoda, I add some texture to the roof with warped wood and calcite to the walls. At this point in the building process I decided to take a break from building houses and instead start on the street. I'm using andesite, gravel and tuff for texture and add slabs instead of stairs. The grey will perfectly blend in with the rest and drag the attention rather to the buildings. To light up the street I built a few lanterns using a barrel, anvil, fences, trapdoors and a forklight. So nothing too complicated. And then I lined those simple lanterns up along the street and add a few bushes. To not overuse pink I decided to use azalea leaves. Then I start building the first custom cherry tree. It's not very big to fit in the village, but definitely bigger than the standard trees. For the smaller branches I'm using fences and I try to accomplish an rather airy look. The temple will be the biggest of all buildings and of course also has more than one floor. Honestly, I didn't really understood what Asian temples are supposed to look like, so I just went for it. As you can see in the outline I leave room in the middle, later I want to build a garden there. As I build up the walls, I change the bottom to dark oak, the same as at the pagoda. At the second floor I will use pink and white again. The attachment on the left side will be a bit smaller than the rest, but its top will be the same A-frame as in the right. On the top I am using again dark oak for contrast, and I think it's adding quite a lot. But now focusing more on the details, on the front I added a small curved A-frame and exchanged the inner blocks with dark oak. Around I left quartz and extended the roof by one for more depth. And of course the temple is going to have lots of windows, again either just bamboo trapdoors or dark oak fences with trapdoors behind. Also I'm adding more detail and depth with additional columns using fences and again bamboo fences for contrast. Honestly the back will never be seen as much as the front, but I still added a bit more to it by extending the walls on the left and right one forward, adding a small balcony in the middle, and again by building the same roof structure as in the front. So that the top part doesn't look too bland, I add a few cherry planks here and there. Coming to the garden in the middle, I replace the kelp blocks with grass, add some roof details to break the space and build up a thin tree. The tree will go out onto the roof, and for its leaves I'm taking azalea leaves, the same as for the bushes in the village. Some more roof details, and then I go over to going around the whole build and add whatever I think is still missing. Some more texture using calcite, some signs, some more cherry wood, lanterns at the top, and texture on the roof with warped wood. At the bottom right, at the entrance, I again place differently colored signs, and with this finishing touch the last building is finally complete. Now I go over to detailing all the bases the houses are standing on. I add cracks and crannies using stairs and slabs all over. I also use mossy variants to make the stone look weathered and used. To bring the pagoda and temple really together I add a few bushes, and one bush is creeping up that huge space at the bottom of the temple. In this corner I added a small pond with a waterfall coming out of the base and add some seagrass and lily pads. I decided that the village was a bit crowded, so I placed this one house a bit back and reconnected everything together again. Like this is looking much better and not so squished. In fact, there was so much space I decided to build a second custom cherry tree similar to the first one, and to add even more bushes everywhere. To add more color to the village, I add a row of trapdoors at this house and add again differently colored signs. The same I do here, except that I build across the street using chains. This really ties everything together. The finishing touches are a few flower pots with cherry saplings or azalea saplings, some lily of the valleys and fern in the shadowier areas. Not to miss bamboo. To replace all those trees I removed in the beginning to make space, I built two custom cherry trees, one smaller one and one bigger one. And then I go around the village and add them everywhere. So that they don't look all the same, I rotated them a few times. And the last thing I'm adding is one gate in front of the pagoda and the temple. I'm using mangrove wood because it will fit right in, and I also give it a curved warped wood roof. For its finishing touches I add smooth deep slate at the bottom and signs all around. And with that I call the village done. And of course the few beehives I removed in the beginning were all added back. I really like how it turned out, and when you walk along the street it really seems lively with all those details. I hope you enjoyed the building process, and I hope I can give you some inspiration for your next buildings. So, until the next time, goodbye!